Manga! Now that we're all alert and awake, I'd like to talk to you about manga. Manga's adaptive qualities and wide range of subjects makes it a wonderfully accessible media to people of all cultures, professions, and personal interests. In Japan, audiences of all ages, gender, and social and political classes read manga. And the same is true for the Americans who are lucky enough to take a moment and experience this cultural phenomenon. By the end of the speech, I will give you a working, albeit basic, idea of 1, what manga is, and 2, how it is related to American culture. So, in order to explain what manga is, we'll have to look at the origin of manga and how it has adapted and evolved to the modern day. In the history of manga in the context of Japanese culture and society, Kingo Iko explains that Japan began a radical reconstruction of its economy in the 1950s, along with its culture. The American gunboat policy, which opened Japan's ports up to foreign trade, introduced the first Western influence Japan had experienced since the mid-1800s. At the same time, Japan released its prohibition upon privately owned and operated media. The Japanese comics, which came out in the incessant wartime of the early 1900s, were used solely for propaganda purposes. In this new period of revolution, many artists began to emerge, but one stood in a class of his own. Known by all Japan as Manga no Kami-sama, or Anime no Kami-ato-sama, which is translated the god of manga and godfather of anime, Osamu Tezuka virtually crafted what modern manga is. Asahi newspaper, published February 10, 1989, said of him, "The one explanation for why manga is so wildly popular in Japan is that Japan had Tezuka, whereas other nations did not. Without Tezuka-sensei, the post-war explosion of comics in Japan would have been virtually inconceivable." Tezuka not only crafted the techniques which give manga what About.com calls that cinematic look, but he also defined the genres within manga. The aforementioned site divides manga into 4 basic genres. Shonen, written for adolescent boys. Shoujo, written for adolescent girls. Seinen, or men's manga. And Joshi, or women's manga. But others have divided it into even more genres and subgenres, including my favorite publication site, OneManga.com, which divides manga into 37 different genres, including romance, historical, mecha, and sports. Now that I've told you what manga is, you might ask, what does it have to do with American culture? In a survey conducted Wednesday, October 7, 2009, it shows that 50% of the PROS 830 Intro to Public Communications class do not know what manga is, and are not familiar with it, and do not know what it has to do with American culture. So, in order to answer these questions, we have to look again at the origin of manga, including the works of Tezuka-sensei, and manga's influence on the modern entertainment industry. So, the animators of America and Japan have been closely intertwined since the beginning of manga. The reason for this is that as Anime Drawing Revolution, a Star's original program, aired in 2007, they comment upon Osamu Tezuka's fascination with Western films, and particularly those made by Walt Disney. Using elements of Disney's design, Tezuka developed his famous Big Eye character drawings, which, common knowledge tells us, and About.com confirms, have become the industry norm. Manga artists of all genres, published today, 30 years later, still use this style. Manga's influence on modern-day entertainment industry is even more apparent. While American animators have experimented with 3D animation and comic book artists have gone for a more realistic portrayal of settings and characters, manga has always been known for its wildly expressive and impressionistic drawings. Furthermore, Japanese anime, which literally denotes animated manga, is the most successful media to come out of Japan, and it only uses 2D animation, drawings on paper. A large portion of this success can be contributed to one man, director Hayao Miyazaki. Miyazaki is the most successful filmmaker to ever come out of Japan, with IMDb.com Incorporated posting his record at 66 nominations and 49 wins for the anime movies which he has directed, illustrated, and wrote with his team at Studio Ghibli. So now that I've explained to you what manga is and given you 2 prime examples of how, from its beginning till now, from Tezuka to Miyazaki, it has been married to America and its entertainment culture, I'd like to emphasize this more. Manga has proven its adaptability to cultural differences to barriers in media, to the changing times, and it's around to stay. As was published in HyperBeast.com, July 27, 2009, Eugene Can writes that animation powerhouse Madhouse Productions is teaming up with Marvel Comics to create iconic characters, anime-themed versions of iconic characters Iron Man and Wolverine. At the same time, Amagi Animation Studios released its new trailers for Astro Boy, a 3D animated film adaptation of Osamu Tezuka's first popular manga. New projects are starting every day, merging our two cultures. And from small manga distributors to whole TV networks dedicated to anime, the best is yet to come. I believe it is safe to say that manga is here to stay. So, in the words of Thomas Paine, lead, follow, or get out of the way.